If you are under 40 years old, the oldest person alive has slept for longer than you've existed. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Carl Monroe, and I know way too much about FNAF now. One of the most infamous games in the FNAF series is FNAF World. So in an effort to make it both a more enjoyable experience and just to make sure I have 10, I'm going to combine both FNAF World, the game facts, and facts about the FNAF game world. So that's what we're exploring with today's list of the top 10 scary FNAF World facts. Roll the intro. A 10 secret mission. While playing the game normally, you wouldn't really see any bigger picture. You fight enemies, an impervious rainbow, and Scott Cawthon himself, who makes jokes about having to satisfy his fanbase with games every other month. But if you stick around the first conversation for a bit, the conversation glitches and an 8-bit glitching psychic friend Fredbear appears and gives you a new mission. This results in you having to collect secret clocks, which ends up setting up the clues you find in FNAF 3's minigames. This secret mission is probably what the game was meant to be in the first place, and it entirely changes the meaning of the game as a whole in both FNAF lore and the timeline. And it probably makes it a better game if you knew about it beforehand. If you didn't know about it, well then you'll still hate it, but then I guess I just countered my whole point for that. So I'm just gonna go and go to sleep. And the 9 secret game tags. The Five Nights series obviously wasn't really advertised. I saw no trailers playing before YouTube videos or any posters at game stores, but we still found it. And that's thanks to the tags that game devs give their games so that people can find them in places like itch.io or Steam. However, usually the games are tagged accurately. Pavlov, for example, is tagged FPS, VR, and shooting. And Doki Doki Literature Club is tagged dating sim, psychological horror, you know, the usual. FNAF, however, is tagged with more things than just the typical tags like horror. The original FNAF game is tagged with single player, robots, difficult, indie, dark, mouse only, lore rich, short, gore, kid friendly, dating sim, and comedy. And considering how these tags are a joke, comedy makes sense. Any parent who downloaded this game because of that tag and then ended up scarring their children with a robot chicken, I'm sure they're not happy about that. Kinda rude, but you gotta do what you gotta do to get your game out there, especially when it was your final attempt at being a game designer. I understand. And at 8, it's hated. FNAF World is probably the most controversial game of all of the FNAF games. Some of the FNAF fanbase feels as if it was a wonderful addition to the series and was a welcome change from the basic point-and-click survival horror experience you'd normally get, which is a reasonable argument. However, the issues that arose with this game are far greater than anyone expected. The issues the community had was honestly the exact same thing as why they thought it was good. The change in gameplay and story was something most people didn't appreciate. The fans were expecting something along the lines of what we had gotten in the past. But with the series evolving, the community didn't appreciate the effort it took to create an RPG experience like Scott had. Like, even if it was rushed and Scott was not proud of it, it was more likely that he just said these things to let you justify your reasoning for hating it. But as I will explore later in this list, I'm sure Scott meant for this to be the way the game was working, but you just didn't like it. So, like the box, he hid it. Forever. And it's 7 brought to console. While we all know the FNAF games for being on PC, some of you may not know that he actually released them on mobile as well. And while this is also fairly common knowledge, I'm pretty sure you didn't know that Scott was actually talking to companies about releasing the games on consoles. I'm not sure how that would work. I guess the different buttons would do other things. But like, it works with the mouse and it makes sense with the mouse. However, Scott also said that while the mobile release was just a reformatting, the console version would be a full remake. This means that we could get potential lore clues or maybe just a remaking of the games to have a cohesive story, but we all know that Scott probably won't do that. I can't talk to whether these talks are still happening or not because all I know is that they happened, so if you do know, please sound off below and let me and everyone else know. We know Scott likes to add things in other versions of his games, like the additional helpy sections in the Foxy Ride and the Curse of Dreadbear flat mode for Help Wanted, so who knows, it could be a thing. It could happen. And at 6, removed from Steam. We know the community and even Scott hated FNAF World. He said it was a rushed game and not up to the standards that Scott had set for himself and the series. So after just 5 months on Steam, Scott pulled it and asked Valve to refund everyone who had the game. He also said that he would release a free version on GameJolt, and that he would update it and that new updated version would always be free. And while that is incredibly nice, he's able to do that because he made a boatload from all of his other games. The hot tub that is the size of my bedroom that's full of money on Scott's mansion lot, I'm pretty sure it's still full even after releasing the $10 game for free and refunding everyone who had bought it originally. What do you think about Scott removing the game from Steam? Are you for it? Are you against it? Are you indifferent? Let me know below and be sure you tell me if you've actually played FNAF World. Halfway through at number 5, better than others. Sure, you may not enjoy FNAF World, but we have to admit it did way better than any of Scott's previous series games. What I mean by that is other games in different series. Considering how FNAF is the only series of his that took off, it's fairly evident that this is the case. Scott has been attempting to be a game designer for a while, and in reality, FNAF was going to be his final attempt to make it before giving up and trying something else. But FNAF blew up, more than the Hindenburg. And it made Scott a household gaming name and gave YouTubers hours of content. The reason he made FNAF was due to a review on a previous game of his that commented on the robotic/animatronic-like statue of his other characters. So Scott took that and ran with it, creating the series we all know and love today. So please, while all we can do is be at home, if you have something that you are passionate about but you're doubting yourself, do it anyway. What do you have to lose? It's time to do whatever we can to both entertain ourselves and even surprise ourselves, because you'll never know until you try. And you may come out of this with an entirely different career path in mind, and that's both awesome and kind of scary, but I believe in you. We all believe in you. So, just do it! And at 4, link with Ultimate Custom Night. In one of his Ultimate Custom Night videos, MapPat from Game Theory spent the first half of this video showing us a link between Ultimate Custom Night and FNAF World. In FNAF World, you were able to break through the game code, as they call it, and visit Old Man Consequences in his pond. After talking to him, you need to drown yourself to get out, but at least it provides a secret ending. And when you arrive back in the main menu screen, you are given a trophy for visiting him. However, in Ultimate Custom Night, you are also able to visit the same location. All you gotta do is set Old Man Consequences to level 1 and play his minigame. Old Man Consequences tells us to leave the demon to his demons and rest our own soul, in reference to Golden Freddy and William Afton. But then, to get out, we need to drown ourselves again. But somehow, even without playing a second of FNAF World, if you do that in Ultimate Custom Night, you get the trophy for seeing Old Man Consequences in FNAF World, even with a fresh save. This could be Scott's way of showing us that FNAF World is still important, and it would make sense since there are lore implications with it now, but I still find it highly interesting. And at 387. Fans of the Five Nights series will always get triggered when you bring up any year from the 80s, because, well, while one bite was difficult enough to deal with, now we gotta deal with two, the bite of 83 and the bite of 87. However, before the bite of 83 was introduced, 87 was a pivotal date in FNAF canon, so it's no surprise that Scott Cawthon, master of lore mystery, the man who doth not trifle with coincidence, released the second FNAF game 87 days after the first. Yeah, you heard me right. The second FNAF game came out 87 days after the first. The release date between the first and second game was 87 days. If that's not attention to detail, I don't know what is. I've been giving this man crap for rushing the second game release, but he had it planned from the start. Maybe this is something we need to look into for more clues to the lore. Maybe the numbers will give us something we can use. Maybe a name, maybe a date, maybe the name of the next FNAF game. FNAF 58, Poop It's in Space! And at 2, Bonnie was first. While yes, Chica's child named Susie was the first to die and has seen everything, it's interesting to think who the first coded animatronic was. We think it would have been Freddy, since he was originally just stationary and would only jump scare you if you ran out of power, but actually, it was Bonnie. And to Scott, I think I know why. Scott considers Bonnie to be the scariest animatronic. While yes, Bonnie the Bunny is cute, and honestly to me the least scary of the core 5, Scott went on record saying that he actually had nightmares of Bonnie after getting jump scared by him while playtesting the first game. Side note, sorry to anyone who has been offended by people calling Bonnie a rabbit or Chica a duck. On behalf of all of Top 10 Gaming, I apologize. I may mix up genders because they're robots, who cares, but I cannot excuse the intolerable behavior of mixing up animal species. Insert sarcasm sign here. Even if rabbits and bunnies are the same thing. If Scott considered Bonnie the scariest, it would make sense for him to code him into the game first for just more creep factor. It makes the most sense. It's only logical. It's also like how Rhyhorn was the first Pokemon because it was technically coded first, but also like Mew was the first Pokemon because every other Pokemon is a form of Mew. Finally, in number 1, it was always important. Now, I've been teasing this one the whole list. The thing is, the lore we see with the true story of FNAF World, the one where you get the clocks instead of the clues in FNAF 3, is canon. Games breaking into the real world of the FNAF universe is something we are seeing happen in the games right now with Help Wanted. Glitch Trap is a sentient code that is now trying to escape the game or relive its previous murders. Glitch Trap is literally what was going on in FNAF World. We even see a purple guy sprite in FNAF World and he just says, "I'm just a game sprite, no need to worry about me." But what if that purple man is the Glitch Trap who is now breaking out of the game and is no longer just like a game sprite? The lore of FNAF World was always important, hence why it was available for free on Game Jolt instead of just being taken off Steam and everywhere altogether. Boom! Truth bombs. There we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF World facts. What did you think of the mix between FNAF game facts and FNAF World lore facts? Let me know below, and on your way down, be sure you hit like and subscribe for daily gaming content and ring that bell to join the clan and level up. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.